Audio or video footage used in this video is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Horrific FX makes no claim of ownership and is simply using the footage for purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Horrific FX with our new video series where we count down different various horror topics. And on this edition, we are counting down, the top 13 horror movie theme songs. We thank you for tuning into our last video, the top 13 horror characters. And I had so much fun. I got some good reviews from it, so I'm going to keep on trucking along here, as I said before, with the top 13 horror movie theme songs. Now, those of you who are just tuning into this video for the first time, this channel, I am a special effects makeup artist. I've worked on films, commercials, video shoots. I've made and sold props, makeup, and prosthetics for tons of haunted attractions across the country. And so since I'm a special effects makeup artist, I'm not very keen to video making, so this is more of just slides and so forth as opposed to an actual video. Now, as we begin this video, I like to, as it was shown on the beginning of the video, I do not own any of this material, any of the audio clips. This is used just for discussionary purposes. So with that, let's begin with the top 13 horror movie theme songs. Number 13, The Fog. Now, after I briefly talk about these sound clips, I'll play a very brief 10-second clip from each film. But number 13, The Fog. And again, those of you who are big horror fans, especially those of John Carpenter, as I am, know what a terrific director he is, but also what a great music composer, as he does the music for pretty much every one of his films. The Fog is no different, and what a nice setting. I can't hear this music without picturing that creepy, eerie fog roaming through the town in the film, and the eeriness as to what's in it, what's going on. And John Carpenter's brilliant music just goes right along with that. It just really adds to the creepy factor as to the unknown of what is coming ahead. Number 12, Hellraiser. Now, this score, I think, is so good. Again, I think a good score is one that's A, just very memorable, and B, you hear the music, you just picture scenes from that movie. And the clip that I'm going to play at the end of this little segment here, every time I picture Pinhead just turning his head and staring at the camera, and picture the Cenobites coming out of from hell, and just not only the creepy factor of the piece, but almost like the poetic music as to what can be the fact that this is as bloody as the movie is, almost like an artistic piece, with the look of the Cenobites and the symmetry of the way the makeup was designed and so forth. So again, just a terrific piece of music, and again, you can't hear it without picturing Pinhead and the Cenobites from Hellraiser. Number 11, Children of the Corn. Now, as I mentioned in the last segment, again, a creepy factor to these themes is important. And again, when you hear the music, you just have flashbacks of the film and particular scenes or just a montage. And the audio clip I'm going to play here is a perfect representation of Children of the Corn and of that. The children's choir voices with the music. Again, I hear it and I instantly picture, Malachi in the corn and the children in the midst of the corn and hearing about he walks them behind the roads and just nice eerie factors to you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. You have no idea what's going to happen in the corn, what's lying in the corn, and the nice cult-like status of the children, and what's going to lie ahead. And that music just plays right along with it. Number 10, The Shining. Now, again, this is another classic music that once you hear it, you just picture it. And I always picture Jack near the end of the movie when he's chasing Danny in the maze, and just picture that the black of the darkness of the sky, the feeling the bitter cold that you see the fog coming off of his breath, being all bundled up in his sweatshirt or whatever, gripping onto that axe, holding with one hand, holding onto his shirt, keeping his jacket closed in the other hand, kind of shivering and freezing, and a classic scene from a classic movie, and the music just goes right along with it. Creates a nice atmosphere, especially other parts of the film. The music just adds to that, almost the claustrophobic nature of the film, where you're in this great big hotel, but you're kind of trapped where it's just them. So great work of musical art for The Shining. Number 9, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And this is a piece of music that to me is different than the rest of the themes that you'll hear in this video, where the rest of the themes are a lot more just subtle music. The theme from A Nightmare on Elm Street just is different to me. The tempo of it, the noises you hear in the background, and it works really great with this film, because I can't hear this music and not picture Freddy's glove and picture Freddy in the boiler room. That industrial feel of him in his habitat of the boiler room, with the fire going off and the scarred face, and it just works so wonderfully for this film. Number 8, Candyman. Now, this is one of my favorite horror movie themes. There are a lot of good horror movie themes, a lot that aren't even mentioned in this video. And when I hear people do their top horror movie themes, or Halloween time, I'll see a CD at a store with theme music from horror movies. It always kind of gets to me that Candyman isn't mentioned. I think this is a very underrated theme for a horror movie. It's not as much scary, but it does have that uneasy aspect to it. The little tones that are playing, the do-do-do-do-do. It sounds so childlike, but when you watch the movie, you just, again, you can't help but picture Tony Todd in that jacket and that rusty stump of a hand with the hook jabbed through it, with caked on blood and the dirty, grimy hook that's in there, and the real poetic nature of this film. Of course, it was based on Clive Barker's story, The Forbidden, but it was such a great movie, and the theme just plays along so well with it. Number 7, Phantasm. Now, as I mentioned in the previous segment, I thought Candyman was a very underrated horror movie theme. I think the most underrated horror movie theme is Phantasm. Um, Now, there are a lot of horror fans who love Phantasm, as I do. But again, there's so many horror movie themes that I think are not as good as Phantasm. Phantasm's theme, I think, is just totally, totally awesome and works so well with that film. The notes just work so well. You just picture the tall man and that sphere and the what in the heck is going on in this film, um, between the dwarfs and the mortuary and the lady in lavender and this music. I think almost is like another character in the film. It's so hypnotic and mesmerizing to listen to. And when you hear that music, it's almost like in a couple other films we're going to mention later on this countdown, you know something's coming up. So I guess this is just probably the most underrated horror film theme I think is out there, and one that definitely doesn't get the credit that it definitely deserves. Number 6, Friday the 13th. Now, this music, once you hear it, I don't think anyone out there cannot picture the opening credits montage from Friday the 13th. The Friday the 13th films, especially the first few, had some great theme music. They were all just different renditions of this one. For this list, I decided to go with the original one here, which is, you'll kind of see throughout this countdown. I decided to go with just originals, not the sequels, which is why this one is on here. But definitely other ones like Part 3 were in consideration with the almost the techno remix of the Friday the 13th theme. But this film theme, once you hear it again, I don't think anyone cannot picture that opening credits montage with the Friday the 13th title logo coming at the screen, the glass breaking, and then the names Betsy Palmer and so on and so forth going with this music in the background. Number 5, Saw. Now, as I mentioned in the previous segment, Friday the 13th, you hear that music, you couldn't help think of the opening credits. I don't think there's anyone who has seen the original Saw and hears this music and does not think of the end of the film. The legendary scene with Jigsaw appearing for the first time. And, of course, always hearing that voice of his saying, "Hello, Zep," in my bad, awful Jigsaw voice. But this theme is just so universally well known for Jigsaw and the Saw franchise, and it makes you think of the traps and the dirty, grungy basement location and the fear of what if I were in those traps. And this music just is perfect for that kind of film. Just a wonderful, wonderful piece of music for the Saw film. Number 4, Psycho. Now, I know a lot of horror movie themed countdowns will have Psycho's theme as either 1, 2, or 3, and it's not a knock against Psycho. I just personally think that the themes I have ahead of it are just slightly a little bit better. But I'm not going to take away anything from Psycho. This theme is legendary. You cannot hear this music without thinking of that legendary, historic shower scene. Not only one of the most famous scenes in horror movie history, but in all of film history. The It was just a perfect storm between the music, the iconic quick cuts by Mr. Hitchcock and his directing, the great acting, the little surprise that Mr. Hitchcock did by running cold water to get a louder scream, the fact that you think you're seeing stabbing, but you're really not, and the music just kicks it up a notch. I also teach special effects makeup, and at the beginning of the course, we go over famous films in horror movie history. And one of the scenes I've shown to students in the past is the shower scene, and I've had the music taken out. And as good as it is, the music added just kicks it up a notch and is so iconic. Number 3, Jaws. Now, anyone who knows me knows I am not a huge fan of Jaws, especially if you saw the last video when I had Jaws on the top 13 horror character countdown. I explained that I personally am not a huge fan of summer water horror movies. It just doesn't really ever do anything for me. But that being said, I understand Jaws' importance in horror film history and the character. And if you're not talking about the character of the shark, you're talking about the music. Anyone who has not seen this film, you hear the Jaws theme, you know what the film is. And you know that something bad's coming. You know that the shark, it has his mouth open, he's hungry, and you're going to be next. Number 2, The Exorcist. Now, this is the film that a lot of people hail as the greatest horror movie of all time. And the music just fits this movie so well. While this was not written specifically for The Exorcist, it plays perfectly for this movie. Again, you hear the Tubular Bells theme music. You picture Reagan. You picture being possessed. You picture everything from the crucifixion scene in the bed to the language, to the head spinning, to the special effects done by legendary Dick Smith, to Linda Blair, to just a wonderful cast and the wonderful directing. A great film, and the music just goes along with it. Again, it's one of the theme songs at Halloween time I love to just sit and listen to, and listen and think about The Exorcist. Number 1, Halloween. Well, we started the countdown with John Carpenter, and we end it with John Carpenter. Now, everyone's list may differ, but almost everyone, I'd say a lot of top horror movie themed countdown list has Halloween as number 1. Again, similar to Jaws, where even if you haven't seen the film, anyone who has heard this music knows what the film is, knows that there's dread coming, knows that there's horror attached. I still remember as a kid watching this movie, just hypnotized by the theme. And my dad telling me about how when the first time he saw it on TV. He was walking backwards from the TV to sit down, and the music played. He didn't know it. It just scared him. What a brilliant, brilliant theme for this film. To the point that even on documentaries about the film, they said they took the film to studios and they passed on the film saying it wasn't that scary. And that was before they added the music. And once they added the music, what a world of difference, night and day. And I know I'm a little biased since Halloween is my all-time favorite film, but you cannot argue the importance of this theme and the legendary, legendary theme by John Carpenter. Well, that wraps up this list of the top 13 horror movie themes according to Horrific FX here. We would like to invite you to send us a list of your own top 13 lists for this category. Now, I understand everyone's list is different, so I'm sorry if I missed one or two that might have been your personal favorites. There are other ones like The Omen and so forth, but this was just my own personal list, so I hope you enjoyed it. Again, sorry if it's more of a presentation instead of a video, but just starting off here with this channel with these kind of videos, so we hope you enjoy them. Thank you very much.